Jack, I swear I was gonna bring them back. Sure, Alex. Or should I say, Alexi? My name's Alex. I was born in Soho, for God's sakes, Jack. Our families have barbecues together. Why'd you take the nuclear plants home then, huh? I thought they were my medical sheets. Do these pictures of nuclear bombs look like medical sheets? I just took the folder that was on my desk, Jack. I'm not a commie. I know you're a commie. If you won't tell me, I know you'll tell the FBI. Let's just go home. That's something a commie would say. Damn it, I'm driving the speed limit.
Let's go, Rocky!
Yeah, let's go rock.
Hey, wait a minute. That guy's got a gun.
Yeah, let's go Rocky.
In here, there were two guys killing each other. But I guess that's better than 20 million.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
The Cold War was a time of turmoil between the Soviet Union and the United States. Although they did not go head-to-head directly, there were a series of proxy wars that took place between the two superpowers. The two most notable are the Soviet War in Afghanistan and the American War in Vietnam. Another aspect of the war that many people felt was the cultural war that was happening between the two, with the Americans and the Soviets trying to strong-arm each other into making the other side think that their way of life is the superior way of life. With Rocky IV, Mr. Stallone is perfectly able to encapsulate the tension between the two sides during this time period, as well as do so much more. Rocky IV. Rocky Balboa, current world heavyweight champion of the world, has beat everyone there is to beat, until Ivan Drago, a freak of nature backed by the entire Soviet Union, demands Rocky to face him. The movie begins with some highly entertaining back-to-back banter between Apollo and Rocky,
Age before beauty.
and immediately Stallone is able to establish the everlasting bond between the two. If you haven't seen prior Rocky films, which I don't really blame you because Rocky IV is the series at its best, you get to see a relationship that you wish no harm would come upon. Then what Mr. Stallone does next is brilliant. He leaves the fight result ambiguous, with Rocky about to land an inside left hook while Apollo is about to land the outside right hook. With this, Mr. Stallone is able to add multiple layers of depth into Apollo's psychology. You see, if Rocky ended up winning this fight with the inside left hook, the reason Apollo would want to be facing Ivan Drago is so he could feel like he was on top again. So when he's spouting all this stuff about how he's a warrior and how when the warrior has nothing left to fight, the warrior might as well be dead. Side note, that line is great foreshadowing for Apollo's demise that occurs at the end of his bout with Drago. Apollo's thinking to himself in a state of lost cause depression, as a warrior, even though I know this guy is younger and stronger than me, I have the experience and the knowledge to beat him. And since Apollo has a shred of hope thinking he can feel the high of victory again, he'll take it. Now on the other hand, if Apollo ended up winning the fight with the outside right hook, the reason Apollo would want to be facing Ivan Drago is because of his hunger to stay on top. So when he's spouting all this warrior stuff, Apollo's thinking to himself, I love to fight, it's my passion, it's what I love to do, so any fight you throw my way, I'll take it. Oh, I just beat Rocky, the world heavyweight champion, so now I have this huge amount of confidence just surging throughout my body. Oh, a 6'4", 20-something-year-old Russian with enough punching power to destroy a house? Psh, can take him easy. It's fight night between Apollo and Drago. Apollo's entrance is long, extravagant, and excessive, with James Brown singing Livin' in America. This scene is a perfect analogy to Americans' mindset during the Cold War and their overconfidence. Using the war in Vietnam as an example, Americans went to Vietnam thinking they would be fighting a bunch of rice farmers, and that would be an easy fight, but they ended up losing in the end. And all analogies aside, this scene sets up Drago to be an amazing villain. Okay, he's strong. Rocky has faced strong people before. But Drago is just on another level. Apollo is just hitting him with a barrage of jabs, and Drago is just completely unfazed. And then when he ends up throwing punches, this leaves Apollo in a bloody pulp. Keep in mind that Apollo is a guy Rocky went the distance with each time he faced him. So if Apollo was left dead in the center of the ring by this monster, what better odds does Rocky have? This is how you create a villain. You create something that you think the main protagonist has no chance whatsoever in defeating, so when he does defeat it, It makes it so amazing. And I just adore what Mr. Stallone does here in the post-fight insanity. There's a swarm of reporters in the ring surrounding Apollo, and the thing they care about more than his well-being is their inside scoop. What Stallone is saying here is that if the paparazzi were to see a celebrity die right before their eyes, they care more about getting those pictures than getting help and trying to save the celebrity's life, which I fear may be true. And oh, the press conference. Let me just say that, it's... What Stallone is able to do in the span of 2 minutes, some history teachers struggle to do in 10 lectures. He's able to show us the animosity between the two superpowers and why it occurs. The key points to remember from this press conference are: the Russians believe they are superior in every way, even genetically superior. The Russians believe that the Americans are overconfident and they have a violent government. However, Americans think the Soviets are violent because of the abundance of military personnel patrolling the Berlin Wall. They also think that the Soviet population is living in a dictatorship and that the people have no say in what they get to do. Stallone should have been the man to direct Bridge of Spies. Not so. He would have done the movie more justice because obviously Stallone's knowledge of the Cold War is endless. Even his visual storytelling skills are unmatched. I mean, look at the way he uses light. You see, in this scene, Adrian and Rocky are arguing about whether or not he should go and fight Drago. Notice how we can see Adrian in full light, but Rocky is partly covered by darkness. The mix of light and dark is supposed to represent Rocky's doubt that he may not have what it takes to face Drago at all. The light represents all of Rocky's fears and what can go wrong, and that he should just bow out. That this fight isn't even worth it because Apollo will still be dead by the end of the day, and he'll lose everything dear to him. He could even lose his life. But Rocky ends up going straight into the darkness, ready to prepare himself for the challenge that awaits him. And now the film steps into musical territory because we just get hit with back-to-back-to-back montage sequences with some amazing songs as accompaniment. There's No Easy Way Out, Burning, Hearts on Fire, 3 songs that should have won the Best Original Song at the Oscars, but they weren't even nominated? Come on, Academy, how can you do this? Lionel Richie's entire discography ain't got nothing on the Rocky IV soundtrack. And if the Academy can't hear that, then they're just as as the girl Lionel was trying to say hello to. Oh yeah, and the editing's good, but that's a given because the Rocky series has always been known for the beautifully edited montage sequences. What I really like about the training montages is how it switches between the highly technical training methods of Ivan Drago, making it look like Drago is a masterfully lab-created experiment, and just the rugged and ordinary training methods of Rocky to make him more of an everyday man. Now the way the fight plays out is just beautiful. It starts out with Rocky just getting pummeled by Drago and him not knowing how to handle the Soviets' reach advantage. You start to think to yourself, he has no chance at all. Then in the second round, he lands this big right hand and it cuts the Soviet. Then Stallone's masterful screenwriting abilities shine through as soon as the round ends when Duke says, "He's not a machine, he's a man!" This could possibly be the greatest line of all time. Seeing as Drago was trained to be a boxing machine, when Rocky cuts him with the right, we realize that that puncher's chance that all fighters have is all but gone. All Rocky has to do is stay in there and give him everything he's got. The next few rounds play out with Rocky taking everything Drago has, but never giving up. You can see how tired and beat up he is in between rounds, but he gets right back up and endures all the damage and the punishment that's being inflicted upon him, leaving Drago in a state of disbelief. And by doing this, Stallone has solidified Rocky as one of the greatest protagonists of our generation. The Soviet crowd, like us watching back at home, see Rocky's hustle, grit, and determination, and we can't help but root for a man who has the heart to push through. Then the final round is the creme de la creme. We see Rocky walking Drago down, mirroring how Drago was walking Apollo down in their fight. And then he finally knocks the giant down. Whoa. If Stallone ends the film right here, we would have gone home satisfied watching this war of attrition happen between these two brutes, but the film continues to go on. And Stallone delivers a speech that not only should have won him an Oscar, but a Nobel Literary and Peace Prize.
If I can change, and you can change, everybody can change!
Maybe if we weren't so close-minded towards each other, if we were open to hear what the other side has to say, then maybe we can progress as a species, doing things for the betterment of society rather than the betterment of self. because you never know.
If an underground tin can fighter can go on to defeat this Soviet behemoth,
Anything is possible. Crap, where did Alex go? Oh, say can you see? That's a red, white, and blue man if I've ever seen one. By the dawn's early